This video is I got this welder. This is a MIG welder. I got it for free. This is I don't know much about it other than it's a Snapon YA205 MIG welder. It's got the gas hookup, everything. But there's some kind of electronic issue besides the gun's piece of crap. So I've kind of figured out what these knobs do. Spot weld, continuous, and stitch. I don't quite understand the stitch part, but it's like a burst, stop, burst. Continuous seems to be fine. Weld interval, when I hit it on stitch, it seemed to get faster as I turned it down. The weld time seemed to work. If I turned this up, it seemed to run more. Or in stitch anyway. Spot I haven't really messed with, but I think I tested all these boards. They seem fine, but there's some kind of a weird issue with this I'm not quite understanding. That's some kind of transistor. I tested that. It looks fine. I documented everything I tested. I resoldered a bunch of things on here. I added unsoldered too to test. That's the board. It's like a $300 board to replace it. It's just a bunch of diodes and crap and a couple of transistors. There's some kind of oddball IC there. I don't know. There's no markings on it. The speed potentiometer seems to work. The primary seems to be fine on the transformer. It seems the issue I'm having is I don't understand why. The transistor tested fine that hooks to this, but there's one output that drives like the gas solenoid, which is this. I'm not getting any voltage on, and it also same output also seems to like drive off of that transistor and run this solid state relay, and then engages a coil for the primary transformer. So I don't get any voltage out of here unless I bypass that solid state relay. It seems to work. The part I'm not quite understanding. I'll turn this on. I got a jumper on the trigger here, which is fine for continuous, so it should just run. But let's watch this motor, and also I'm gonna stop talking too because it seems to be buzzing a lot. I don't know why. It's like the motor seems to run. Sometimes it runs, sometimes it doesn't. But when I hit this inch button, the motor runs fine. Then it'll turn slowly. It's like it ran fast at first, and it just started slowing down, and now it's hardly doing anything. And I have a voltmeter here. This is what would have been the solenoid. I was testing this, but when I hit purge, it helped to have it on the right setting. It's probably DC. I have 12 volts, but nothing otherwise, even though the trigger's in theory pulled. So I'm inclined to think maybe there's an issue with this board driving it, even though everything seems to test fine. I don't know if this is appropriate speed for the wire feed. So I think that's about max, and then it just gets slower and slower. And then eventually it just like basically stops, and then it just keeps buzzing. It seems to run though, so I don't know if the motor's defective or what. And if I play with these knobs, I'm going to set it to stitch. You can hear it pulsating. If I turn the weld interval up, there's a longer delay. If I turn the weld time down, it pulses quicker. If I turn to spot, it changes the weld time, and I trigger it. If I turn it off and trigger it, runs for longer. That seems like these dials do work. There's just some kind of a problem with whoever's driving this motor and what that thing, which seems like that board. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do to fix it. One thought is just bypass all this stuff, not use it. I did have the idea yesterday, maybe, I don't know what exactly these numbers are, if they're like seconds or milliseconds or what. But another stuff, they're just like 10K potentiometers. This is like a 3-position switch. One thought was maybe there's a way to put throw an Arduino in here, use that to control these knobs, and maybe go online or whatever, find like a cheapy DC 12-24 volt motor driver that would adjust the speed of that motor, and then somehow hook that into the Arduino. I've never really worked with Arduino and I don't know a whole lot about welders. I was like, this thing's more than I need, but it was free, and I was like, maybe I can fix it and do something with it. So, if nothing else, I'll part it out, but I'd like to see if I can fix it. So, I guess if you watch this and have any ideas what I can do, that would be great. And if I can fix this, I'm going to need to figure out a new gun, and I don't think I'm going to buy anything Snap-on for it if I can avoid it, because they're just super expensive, and I'm not going to put a lot into this thing. It's pretty rough shape already, so